Hello everybody to War Talk number 9 Forum Thunder. Today we will be talking about things that we've pulled off from the forums that has to do with the forums. Well, it has to do with the game too, but the topics and informations is mainly taken out of the forum from the secondary sub-game called Forum Thunder. A lot of people use that nickname for the forums when they say they're playing War Thunder, but they're actually on the forums more than they are in-game shooting people down. And today with me, as always, Classypax, AverageAdam, and today's guest is Kota. Hi, how are you, man? Tell the people where they can find you and what you do when you do what you do.
Well, lately it's kind of hard to find me because I don't get on that often, but when I'm on, I'm playing sim mode, cockpit only, and that's what I've been playing since I started the game. I guess, I don't know. If you see me in game, send me a message or something.
You're a streamer, right?
Yeah, and I also stream on Twitch.
So yeah, guys, if you hit twitch.tv/vXV, that whole nickname under his face there, then you'll find his channel. You used to be known as the streamer that played sim using a gamepad, though.
Yeah, I started off with the Xbox 360 controller, and I don't know if I can actually send a link into your chat in like 2 seconds here. The configuration's still out there. Obviously, you might need to update some stuff, but there's from right now I'm on there, and there's over 4,000 downloads. So
4,000 downloads?
It clearly works, and people are trying it. That's the link for the configuration if anybody has an Xbox 360 controller and they want to try sim mode with it.
I think your name was mentioned when we, in an earlier episode, actually talked about the control scheme.
Highly recommend it, man. Highly recommend it. That's a good place to start. If you don't want to invest into a joystick, I
guess that's how I got kind of big on Twitch. Is I was the guy using the controller and shooting people down that were using high dollar equipment, I guess.
So what made you stop using the controller?
Basically, most of the people that were following my stream wanted to see me with a joystick. And so I got a joystick. Well, I got the head tracking before I got the joystick. And once I got I could still grab the controller and use it again, but there is some limitation. They're very minor, but the controller does have limitations that the joystick doesn't, I guess. Okay. But they're so minute that in your average game, it's not going to matter.
Because that's pretty cool, though. Because I mean, we saw in the tournament, the Gladiator tournament, in the sim part of it, one of like the top 3 teams were using controllers, so they were very competitive. But you know, without having any joysticks, so it definitely seems to be a really cool, like a cool thing to do. But alright, so nowadays you use joysticks.
It's the pilot.
Yeah, definitely, I would say so too. But that's cool. That's cool. That seems there seems to be more people daring to try using a gamepad. I have a gamepad. Maybe I should actually try and do some sim.
Yeah, and the thing with it is with that gamepad, you don't. I mean, it's so. For like the head movement, because that's the #1 thing that you're at the disadvantage when you like go in and try sim with just mouse and keyboard. You don't have head movement. You don't have the ability to move your plane and move your head like very, I guess, accurately. But with the controller, it's like once you get used to it, it's second nature.
Yeah, because you use the right stick for that, I assume, right?
Yeah. And then the trigger, like you can just let go of the trigger. And then you have full yaw. Like you can let go of one of the triggers for a second, and then push the trigger again. You have head movement again. So like, I don't know. That's where the disadvantage kind of comes in. Is like if you need to do some snap maneuver, it's a little weird, but it's really something that you never hardly use.
All right. Well, that's pretty cool. That's how I saw you as a standout streamer, was the fact that you were using a controller. But now you're just like everyone else.
Everyone else. Besides, I'm hardly ever streaming anymore.
Yeah, you bugger.
Busy. I know.
Yeah, you should get back to doing that. You were quite popular. You are quite popular. But, because you were streaming just before we did this. Alright. Let's get on the...
fuck that up.
And then we fucked that up. Yeah, sorry, we just came out of there.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
Pulled him down from the Kota sphere.
Yep, my bad.
Finally.
Smack.
I was waiting for that joke.
We were trying.
Got that shit trademarked, man. They should put that right in the game too. Once you get like above 6,000, it doesn't start counting anymore. It just goes Kota sphere.
I don't understand. Like that's only for sim though. Like that's an everyday thing in realistic. I've even accidentally played a realistic battles game with you get all the icons. And I'm just sitting there doing my normal sim climb, like I'll climb to 4 or 5K, on average, and you can see all your teammates' icons. I look over and everybody's above me in realistic, and I'm just like, wow, this is kind of nice. There's people up here. In sim, you go up there and you're like, well, I guess I have a bomber that is diving after he spawned at 3K.
But why did you why did you start climbing always in sim then like that?
Why shouldn't you?
Yeah,
that's a better question.
There's.
But why is he the only one then? I mean, or why did he?
Yeah,
get
why is the Kota sphere more popular than the PAX sphere?
There's no.
I'm not the only one, but I would say I was one of the people that was using altitude for the advantage that it has, and I'm patient enough that the good people that want to try to fight me, I make them come up there and fight me. So that's like, it started off like, even TWB guys, before I was part of that squadron, there would be 3 or 4 of them in a group, and it would be me at 4 or 5K, and they want me to come down and fight them, where I have the advantage. So I'm going to make them try to climb and get slow, and then I'll attack them in. And yeah, they can work together in a group of 3 or 2, and break down my advantage, but I can attack them for 20 minutes before they can even attack me once. So that's where the advantage comes in. And I felt like, yeah, I hold my altitude, where a lot of people, if someone dives out, a lot of people will dive right after them. I'll just let them go because they waste my advantage.
And you're that patient guy who's like, I don't need my game to be over in 20 minutes. I can be up here.
Yeah,
I can just wait for you. All right.
Yeah, I think that what's that war skill? Is that what it's called? That website?
Oh yeah.
Your average lifespan is like 30 minutes.
My average lifespan's like 30 something.
Yeah.
The longest living player in the game. All right, that's pretty cool.
It's a game of patience. You have to be pretty patient in that game.
In
order to be in order to be alive at the end of the round, patience usually keeps you alive longer. It's not a question of you just going up there and just waiting until everyone fights and then you come in and clean up the scraps. It's not like that. You pick your engagements. It lets you pick your engagements instead of being forced into an engagement. And then obviously when you have a fight that's up at high altitude, that gives you an ample amount of different options that you can exchange altitude and energy, and it makes a much more dynamic fight up at high altitudes because you don't have this thing called ground getting in the way. It gets rid of one of the directions you can go.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's not something recommended for those still living at home with their mom playing the game, where they're like, you have to do your homework. But mom, I just climbed to 5K. I gotta be here for a while. Nobody's coming.
Yeah. But it's crazy because in realistic, it's not even something that is.
Oh, everybody does it.
Yeah. Because I mean,
that's weird. How it's so different.
Yeah. Sim is a lot of like, I don't know. I feel like I always bashed on realistic and like mouse aim.
Oh, God damn it.
But the instructor in sim maintains energy. So if you want to turn 180 degrees in realistic, maintains energy. So if you want to turn 180 degrees in realistic, you can turn 180 degrees and you're going to burn a lot of E doing it, but you're not ever going to burn enough E that you stall out. Where in Sim, you can take that same turn and pull it twice as hard and lose so much energy that now your plane's going to stall. And so what people don't realize is that once you try to do that at altitude, like the comparison from Sim to realistic, that Sim guy has no energy, the realistic guy still has a whole bunch because he's not going to stall. And that's where the climbing, people use engine power in Sim, and it's so much easier to gain speed when you have thick air to move through. And at low altitude, you can do that. At high altitude, you can't.
I like this topic. This topic is great. This was interesting.
My planes climb very fast in arcade. There you go. That's my.
There's a thing that a lot of sim pilots
That's my
understand
contribution.
that can be like a daunting thing. It almost comes off insulting when you tell the RB and AB players that technically they're not flying the plane. And they're like, "What? No, I'm flying it. What are you talking about? It's me. It's me." No, technically the instructor is. You're just telling him where to go. That's how it works. As you point your mouse, go here, and the instructor flies it to the limits of that plane in that direction. That's how that works. I mean, you're still in charge. It's just that the instructor's doing it for you. When you're in sim, the instructor's there. You're not there. You got fired. So when you go to pull the stick or move the mouse, or the mouse joy that direction as far as you want, the plane's gonna let you know that I can't do that, and you're gonna lose lift. And because with instructors, like, I can only go this hard, but you need to go there as fast as you can, but I can only do it as this max amount. That's why it takes a certain amount of time for it to get to that mouse point. So technically, you're not flying. I hate to break it to you, you're still in charge, but you're not flying the plane. Just being honest.
Yeah. There's a lot of variables that the instructor is taking care of for you, but at the same time, like when I was learning a new plane, like especially the Focke-Wulf is probably one of those planes that I don't even know how popular it is for realistic / arcade players.
Very, very.
Guns. But sim players,
Lots of guns.
For sim players, it's a plane that is everybody wants to fly it, but it's so hard to fly and be consistent with that because it'll stall super fast. And that's when I was starting to learn to fly that plane. What I did was went into test flight, but I went into a realistic battles test flight where I had instructor and I was using mouse aim, and what I would do is put it in a banking turn and figure out where that instructor was allowing the speed to drop to. And it'll only allow the speed to go to like 350, and then it'll cut back on the turn so it doesn't stall. And when you're in sim, you can turn a Focke-Wulf down to 180 kilometers an hour, and then you're stalling. But that's one thing when I was learning is like, how hard can I actually turn this plane, and what is the minimum airspeed that I want to be maneuvering in it? And you can do that with any plane in the game. If there's a plane that you're stalling a lot with, take it into realistic, put instructor on, and then just put it in a left-hand turn. Let it turn until it's going constant airspeed. And that's your minimum airspeed you want to be turning at.
There you go. The more you know.
Pro tips.
That's a really good tip.
That is a super tip.
That's pretty dope.
Yep.
You're gonna see a massive boost in realistic players.
Everybody's doing a turn.
Just spinning.
I mean, you want to do it in test flight, obviously.
See, nobody was thinking about that.
No,
they
nobody
were just
like
gonna go into a normal game and just go start spinning. Just, all these guys just like, oh, minimum airspeed. Then all of a sudden, thump, just out of the air. Some dude just comes out of nowhere.
Oh, damn it.
So,
all right. So the topic then. The second topic now, I guess, after this. But there's been some changes to the forums that beforehand. I mean, I could just read this post. All right. So there was an announcement yesterday evening sometime, where by Scarper that posted, "Dear players, it has been quite a while since we introduced the 2 battles new player anti-spam system on our forum. Basically, it means that a new member cannot post any messages and create topics until he plays a minimum of 2 battles. When he does so, he is automatically moved to an active group where he can both post messages and create new topics. Beginning today, we are implementing a new feature which will be an important addition to this system. 3 battles and game activity. Users will not be able to post messages and create topics unless they play at least 3 battles in a week. Just entering the battle and leaving immediately will not count. So I guess they have some sort of activity level here they're looking at. Exception: when the servers are unavailable, users that have not yet fought 3 battles per week have a limit of 5 posts during maintenance. So when they do maintenance on their servers or something else is bringing them down, then you can go there and rage 5 times. Pax is on the phone. I like how we're all getting these things happening. But and already in the first post, Scarper added, okay guys, we've all sat here and discussed it. We listened, probably extend this out to a monthly assessment and not a weekly one. So it does look like they might have already changed this to 3 battles per month requirement. Because this thread got pretty quickly, had quite some feedback. But yeah, what do you guys think about that implementation? Is it like 3 battles at least per week? Is that fair? Is that a good thing? Is this a good way of filtering? I'm assuming, you know, people that shouldn't be on the forum bringing opinions about the game because they're not playing enough, or what do you guys think? Like, what's the reason here?
Well, obviously, I mean, there must be a lot of people that they have spamming on the forums for them to even want this feature to begin with. Like, if there wasn't a need for it, then I don't think they would necessarily implement something for no reason. Thinking about it and thinking about it more and more, 3 battles might be an okay sort of minimal, like, per week. But why couldn't they, for somebody who, you know, like myself, who's played like thousands of battles, do I necessarily need to still be included in this per weekly thing? Like, could there be like, once you reach 1,000 battles, you're in forever? You are now a part of this active group forever. Like, does somebody like myself need to be playing these 3 battles to be in that group? Because I've obviously, I mean, I don't post a lot in the forums. Like, it's not that big of a deal for me. But for me to then have to play 3 games, just so if I ever did want to post on the forums with my account that has so many battles, like, I feel like I'm being punished. So I feel like maybe they could go, oh well, you know, if you've played over 500 battles, boom, you're in the group forever. It could be good to stop all those new accounts coming in and just going bam bam.
It sounds
bam.
like something they could do, like if they can have a feature
A rank thing, like you must be ranked 10 in game before you can.
Oh,
whatever.
they could go with the account level, right? The account level, like.
Obviously,
yeah.
they want activity, because you can get to rank 10 and then not play the game for 2 years, which is happening. There's people in the forums who haven't played the game for months, but they go in there just to talk bash it.
Yeah.
So that system, I don't know if it will end up working. I mean, there should be an inactivity thing, but like not there should be an inactivity cutoff, not so much an activity requirement. You know what I mean? Like, if you've been out of the game for a month, then yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but think about it this way. If you are on the forum, like, I think it's a great idea. As far as the main focus of this installment is to just cut down on spam. And so, like, I think it's a great idea, because if you are playing the game and you get frustrated, you don't play the game for 3 days, and now you get back on the game or something, or you want to get on the forums and be like, this is why I quit playing. You can't do that. You can't just be angry at it, because now you have to go play. You have to go play 3 more games before you want to rage on the forums. And so, like, if you want to be constructive on the forums, most of the time you're going to be playing the game, and you're going to be like, hey, I noticed this, and you can just hop on there and type whatever you want. But if you want to rage at it, you're going to have to go play 3 games and then rage at it, and then probably get blocked or banned on the forums. So it doesn't really matter.
I'm thinking how because I mean, I can see both the positive and negative in the way where I like the idea, because I imagine they really want the feedback from those who actually play the game, right? Like, they want that constructive feedback that they do get. But then you have so much shit being thrown on the forums, like so much posts. It doesn't have to be spam per se. It could be people actually like engaging in certain topics and stuff, but it's to the point where, when did you play the game last? Like when did you actually play the game, or are you just here to stir shit up, or just not really care about what you're discussion about?
There's weird shit like that all the time. There's even people that come into like the forums and start advertising other video games. Like, oh, I don't play this game anymore. You should go play this game. Like, links to that. It's on sale right now. Go get Battle of Stalingrad. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like you're like in a thread about like, how do I get better at Sim? And some guy comes in and pipe, don't even bother, just play this game. Like, just what the fuck? Yeah. That doesn't make any sense. It's like going to someone's lemonade stand and just like, oh man, I want to try a lemonade. And there's some guys right there. No, that stuff's shit. Try this grape juice.
Because I feel like,
dude,
like for the last year at least, I been streaming the game, and I feel I've seen like just in Twitch chat, like for every time there's been a patch, there's like a few nicknames I've learned never gets happy. You know what I mean?
We know who you are.
We know who you are. but there's like people who would come here. Like, every time there's a major patch, they're like, oh, they just destroyed the game. Oh, the game is... Like, they're just hating on whatever they did. It doesn't matter. They're like, the gun now has the correct color. It pisses me off. Like, they will just be like, whatever. It doesn't matter what they did. Like, it doesn't matter what they do. The patches always get worse and worse and worse. And they will be saying that. But I'm assuming they're still playing the game because they're still coming to watch us stream it.
User still plays the game despite the fact.
It's a love-hate relation. Yeah, it's kind of a weird love-hate relationship with the.
So at least that guy can still go on the forums and if he still plays the game. But I still assume there's because there are people I've seen in other games as well, which they don't play the game. They've stopped playing the game. You don't see them in the game, but they will still be because they don't unsubscribe on Facebook. They don't unsubscribe to newsletter. They'll still get all that shit. Like, they get the newsletter like, we just implemented this, and they're like hating on
the
it.
Nosy neighbor that calls the cops on you all the time, basically, right? Yeah.
People.
They can't keep their head out of your business, but they they're still like, oh, I don't like what he's doing over there, but they're still fucking they're still engaged in it. I mean, from your perspective, Kota, absolutely, that does make sense. To obviously, forums are a place of where you want to interact about the game in a constructive manner, as best as people can, if they have the ability to. As for like 3 a week, I don't know. I think that's a little drastic. I mean, there's people that are active at least once a week, maybe. Maybe they only have play on weekends.
I'm thinking
3 battles a week, though.
Yeah. I know. 3 battles.
If you're talking,
what about you're on vacation? That was actually a good point. What if someone's on vacation, and they're bored and they want to just engage with people that they become friends with, and because they're on vacation for 1 week, they can't. I mean, that's a weird, rare thing, I guess.
Now, it does seem like it's a monthly thing now. It does seem, because they did post, like, they edited the post with a comment where they said, okay guys, we've all sat here and discussed it, we'll probably extend this out to a monthly assessment, not a weekly one. But it's probably extend this out to a monthly. Like, I'm not sure if it's in yet, but, it sounds like they're changing it to a monthly thing,
3 in a month? That's, like, if you can't do 3 battles
in a month.
That's... Yeah, maybe you don't even belong.
But the drama, like the thing people were against here, I haven't gone to the end of the thread to see if what happened after that edit, but it seems to me that the thing that stirred shit up here was the 3 battles a week was causing a lot of issues or comments. Because if it is 3, let's assume it is 3 per week, then, like you said, if anybody goes on a vacation, they want to be taking part of it. Or if, like Eisenhower, who has a work or a job where he travels a lot, he's a lot of, spending a lot of nights in hotels around, the States, he might want to engage in the community, right? Like, he wanna be part of maybe take part of the forums, read, write, do stuff like that, without being able to play the game. And that's where 3 a week is, in my opinion, it's too hard, it's too crazy to actually do that. But this is I mean, why do you guys think they did this implementation? we already touched on that. I mean, it has to be to get less spam, as they would call it, I guess. Less.
You should just go to the
unimportant
forums.
posts.
You'll answer your own question in about 10 minutes.
In about 10 minutes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It don't take long. It don't take long. You go to certain sections of the forums, you're gonna find love. We'll call it that. We'll call it passionate criticism. It's in every crevice.
There's a good post though by Scarper in this thread on, let's see, which page is this? Oh god, this is so long. 29. But if you go to the first post, at the top on this forums, they have, you know, the post that has received the most likes, right? The best answer. And here Scarper says, our community need to understand that this forum is the property of Gaijin and that you are all guests here. It is not a public forum, nor is it Facebook. We have no issues allowing our constructive players, not specifically White Knights, to express themselves fully here, but we will not permit the organized disruptive minority to continue to derail and disrupt our game and destroy that first view for our new players. The source information will be gathered on a monthly basis, and it will be likely at least 5 games. Okay, so they changed this then, apparently. The source information will be gathered on a monthly basis, and it will be likely at least 5 games, but maybe more. This is still being discussed, used as the measurement. This is not unreasonable for people that want to support our game, but will be a chore for those that don't. If you have extenuating circumstances that show reasonable concerns, you will be exempted from the system. So I guess you could apply, Adam, to be in that exempt group.
I like the exempt group idea. That way you wouldn't have to worry about going on holiday. Although, even then, would I really want to be on, like...
You're never on the War Thunder forums when you're on
right.
holiday.
Like,
I know you aren't, but there's people
well, I'm not
who
on the War Thunder forums. Well, actually, when I do this, I am. Like, when I need to find something interesting to talk about, I do. But other than that, like, I wouldn't go on holiday and go, you know what, I really want to check out the War Thunder forums today, or I really want to go and, like, I feel like that's quite a weak excuse to try and swindle your way out of something. Like, I feel like 3 games per week is a reasonable requirement if you wanted somebody who was active. 3 games per month doesn't sound like activity to me. Like, that sounds like somebody who just kind of comes... Like, I have 3 games in World of Tanks every month. Does that make me a World of Tanks player? Does that give me any kind of, like, opinion on the game? Absolutely not. Like, how can you even get... Like, how much information can you get from 3 games? Like, you might not even get a new map in 3 games. If a new patch comes out, oh, I didn't get the new map in 3 games, but I'm still going to comment on it. I feel like 3 games a month is just way too long of a spam.
They're just trying to make a threshold where, you know, people who might even be making fake accounts, I assume, to troll the forums, actually have to do something before they can actually do that.
Right, but 3
There's
games...
that to factor in too, right? Because it's a free-to-play, right? So for you to make just a new account and blah, 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 it's effortless, right? It's not attached to any, like, purchased game, right? So
No, but 3 games per month isn't, like, would be way easier to handle on a if you were trying to spam new accounts. Like, if you tried to do that three games per week on, like, 10 accounts, you'd have to play, like, 30 games a week.
Yeah.
valid point.
That's what I mean. That's why I see 3 games a week.
Is much better than 3 games per month. Like,
Oh,
as I
for
said,
sure.
I play World of Tanks 3 games per month. Does that give me any right to make any kind of constructive criticism against World of Tanks? Like, seriously, like, if I played 100 games a week, like I do in War Thunder, that would give me way more legroom. But, I mean, 3 games per week might even sound too little. Like,
valid points.
For somebody, if you wanna like have people who are constructive, who are playing the game constantly, or, you know, want some constructive feedback, you need people who are dedicated to the game. So maybe you might even need to up it to, like, 10 games a week. Like, who in this room does not play War Thunder 10 games a week? Like, I could easily say I play 100 games a week. Like, I wouldn't go that far, because I've got
you
free
do
time.
arcade,
Like,
and
In
Kota
a
does some-
defense to
Fair enough.
different game modes, you know, 3 games in arcade
it's like 10
is-
minutes. It's like 10 minutes. I can jump in
is
and
like
out.
half a really good round in Sim.
Right, but still 10 games a week for for you guys? Like, does that really sound like a lot?
10 games a week? Well, you know, you can commit, like, a round is up to 55, 60 minutes.
Like, could be
Right.
10 hours.
Max.
10 hours.
Yeah.
So one game, all right, so you'd have to play at least 1.5 games a day.
Yeah.
And the amount that Kota's been playing these days, he wouldn't meet the requirement by a long shot. So there's
All right,
that to
fine.
consider.
Maybe 10 games might be a little extra. Or maybe you can
I
take
mean-
it for simpler.
But
But at the
they're
same time-
talking about 5 games per month now, so I think that sounds better.
But what I'm trying to say is, if I wanted to say something on the forums, I would have to play. And if I wasn't at the requirement, say I only had 2 games in, and I was like, oh man, I got to make a forum post. And I go on there, it's like, all right, you need to play so many more games before you can post. It'd be like, if I really want to make this post, I'll go play another game and then make my
round
post.
of arcade, even just jump in, do the quick
Yeah.
round, get out, and then just get to it.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
you had to actually play the arcade game. Like you couldn't just.
But
jump
if you're in the, if you are scrolling the forums and you see this forum thread and you're like, oh, I just want to make a post on this, and you go to make the post and it's like, you don't qualify to post on this forum at the moment, and you're like, are you really going to go and play 3 games so you can come back and post something that probably doesn't matter? No, you're not
No.
going to do it. So it keeps it off the forum.
the
So
quality,
that's the main
quality of the post on the forums will definitely go up. I think.
Yeah.
I think
for
the
sure.
quality is the whole thing, the whole situation about, getting down the amount of smack talk on the forums and trash talk and stuff like that through means of either
It's really
banning
good for the developers.
banning hammers and stuff like that, and requirements of game time. All of this should technically not even be an issue if they were more constructive with the community themselves, talking back to us and just being open and fixing little things that make these issues. I think it'd be a lot less what it is, because Gaijins has a lovely track record of not being the most
Transparent.
open. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I mean, all of this is because of they couldn't do this or they won't do this. I mean, obviously they wanted to get down the smack talk. Obviously, there's only so much crap of that you can take, and it gets to the point where it floods even the good topics, where a very constructive topic will come in, and it gets just thrown down the list of forum topics because a bunch of bash threads came up and just dwindle it down to the bottom. There's that issue, obviously, but yeah, it's just like it feels like all these steps are being done because they could have been preventative if they did something else instead, by just not getting into this position where they do, like, just. I mean, they've gotten
There's
better now.
several things to work on, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. They've
But
gotten
I
better now,
don't
like,
think the
they do
change
things.
on the forums is necessarily a bad thing. Because I mean, sure, like somebody just said in Twitch here, is like, hey guys, I can't log into War Thunder. Making this post to look for help might be difficult unless they actually leave, say, a forum session for that specific choice open. Like, right? Like, I mean, this
Technical
doesn't.
support should never be shut down,
Exactly.
no matter how much. Yes,
Yeah.
valid point. Valid point. And I hope they realize that.
At the same time, I agree. Yet, do you think that all the shit would just be plowed into isn't there a statement on there that says that if the server was down, they would
Yeah.
sort of,
Yeah.
you
But maybe a
have
guy
five
has, like,
players.
like he's new to the game, for some reason he can't even fucking start the game. Like the first bug.
If we're talking a hardware issue, like if he can't boot up the game because maybe something on his end, like his graphics card is not installed correctly or something like that, and he's getting these error messages, and he can't even get into the game.
For the first time.
Exactly. Not even the first time. He could have been having this error for like a week and a half.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden, he can't even talk about it anymore. Right?
Yeah.
You're
But I
gonna
mean,
want to
they're-
be able to.
But you
post.
can't. But wouldn't you be able to contact support?
Yeah, and that's not even. You could go directly to the guy. I mean,
Like,
this is a forum.
Right.
This is War Thunder forum. Gaijin also has their Gaijin technical support.
Oh yeah.
And there is a
for all
technical
of-
support forum section where you can go and see.
Yes, there's a support in the forum.
And also, by the
Page
way,
2.
I mean, people do need to get better at searching for shit before they post. So, you can still read.
this would be a good way.
You can still read the forums. Like
Yeah.
you can find the person who had this problem before you, if this is really an issue. But I mean, there's always gonna be, like I like to think that this sounds to me like, they're gonna get like 90% of people that really didn't bring anything good to the forums is now not going to be able to post in the forums, right? And going to be like maybe 10%, 5% people that might be hurt from this in different scenarios. But you know, I guess Gaijin got to make a decision where, you know, they want to take actions against something they feel is making their forum you know, less of a good experience.
Yeah, it's what they're implementing is basically just a pre-filter to filter out. You know, it's just a filter to do the job that moderators are kind of doing right now. It's just to lighten the load on them mainly.
Yeah.
And when you get that person that is playing those 3 games just to put a nasty comment on the forums, it's going to be a lot easier to weed that person out.
And
spot them.
I'm
because there won't
curious.
be all these others.
And just saying for the clarity of just make sure no one forgets that it doesn't lock you out of the forums. It just you can't post. You can still read all.
Yeah. You can.
So you're not losing out on information. You just.
Yep.
That's to be clear too. It's not like they're locking you out of the forum just because you're not playing the game.
No, this is just, you know, you're not able to post. And I'm curious. Like I'm not a forum type of user any longer. I used to be the guy that lived on forums back in the days. But in other games, I'm thinking games that might have a few, you know, bazillion more players than War Thunder at the moment. You know, World of Tanks, for example, that, you know, is claiming to have over 80 million people. How does their forums look like? What do they have these same issues? Like what have they done? Does anybody know? Like what are the competition doing when it comes to how to, you know, sort their forums? Because I would assume they would have so much more people posting then.
Not so much World of Tanks. I know one of the game of where they had a massive purge, but it was done more to like shut the community down because they were horrible developers, and that was War Z. Or Z, whatever you want to call it.
Okay. Yeah,
anyone know about that?
Yeah. I didn't touch that because
what's the game called now?
Infestation Stories.
Infestation Stories. It went through 2 name changes, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
See, that was the only other one I could think of because it wasn't the community's fault. It was the developers' fault. They were shoddy, pay to win. Oh, it was absolutely nasty. To the point of where people who develop hacks for games were like, this game is so bad, I'm giving my hacks away for free. And he like posts them up and everything. And it turned into this massive mess of just hate threads 24/7. And they did a purge, a massive purge of where you couldn't do anything. Like you had to pay to get into the forums. Basically. It was bad.
That's free to play.
That is pay to win right there.
It was bad. It was bad.
$1 per post.
That's the only example I can think of where. And then there was Mech Warrior Online. They went through some pretty bad shit too, but they've gone out of that now. They've actually changed things. But this one with War Thunder, it's not like that for sure. Like this is not pitchforks and stuff like that and torches, but this is definitely just to get rid of some of the bitterness that's in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand bitterness. But I respect constructive bitterness.
Yeah.
If you're gonna bitch about something, how about you put in ideas and possible solutions to your problem? Talk to people and see what they think of your problem with the game. And try to come to a resolution instead of just, buckling down for the long haul and being very bitter about it and not changing your mind on anything, and trying to actually adapt and fix the problem instead of just sitting there and just being pissed at the game. This is a way to get rid of that, obviously, and especially if it's a person who's not even being active in the game. So this is a different situation compared to other games.
I was just curious to the closest one would be their competitor, World of Tanks, I guess, where I would just assume that their forums must at least to some I assume they have some sort of filter in the same way, maybe not exactly the same way. I'm just assuming they have some way to filter out all the people that, because if you have a game with 80 million registered accounts, then there's bound to be a lot of shit on that forum, That was why I was just curious if anybody knew if they were doing things in any different way. But it's still, I like it. Like, I think what Gaiden is doing with their forum is definitely in line with what I agree with. It's definitely what I think is good practice to, you know, this is our forum, you are a guest here, there's no freedom to speech, blah 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 BS on this piece of the internet, because we dictate the rules. You accept them when you register, and you gotta abide by them, you know. And it's just a way. I actually think it's a good filter. I think it's better as a monthly thing than as a weekly thing. For those who do travel and do things where they might not be able to play the game every week, but it's definitely a really good thing. It will definitely up the quality, and maybe this will help Gaijin get better at communicating with the community, and maybe be more transparent where they might actually see that feedback. Maybe, you know, because I do feel that there must be a lot of feedback that gets posted on the forums that is good feedback that, just like you said, it will just quickly be on second page because so much other threads are being made about bullshit, you know. So I think it's good. I think it's good. All right, anything else you guys want to add to that?
Not really.
Did we both just do that at the same time?
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. Oh. Alrighty then. Well, you know, then this is a good place to do the little break before we go on and touch on jingles, as well as the what did you guys call this? Developer questions to the devs that they've answered.
Yeah, going through the accumulated QAs.
Accumulated QAs. That's what we're calling it. Awesome. And we'll be right back, guys. Give it 4 or 5 minutes, and we'll be back after this. Touch on jingles. Definitely Jingles Watch. Hey, baby. Welcome everybody, and welcome back to War Talk episode 9, Forum Thunder, where we talk about things that we pulled off from the forums. Because that's a great place. They post a lot of stuff there. The first part here we talked about the changes to what would we call it, the spam filter they implemented, where you have to play a certain amount of games per month to be able to post or create threads on the forums. You can still browse it though. We had a good talk about that, and it was pretty darn interesting. You're pointing somewhere. What were you pointing at, Pax?
I was dancing. I was dancing.
That was a dance. That was a dance. Okay.
I was doing a little jingle.
Because we're about to talk about to talk about Jingles and what he's been up to. It's obviously time for the weekly Jingles Watch, and well, this is quite interesting. Like, we've seen Jingles at many places. Pax will have all the info about this one. I am now showing everybody this picture. He seems surrounded by a lot of people. You know, has a smirk on his face. What are we watching here?
Well, obviously, because of the recent changes to the forums with 3 games, you have to enter it. Korea's been a little bit upset. So right now that they're unable to actually type something in the forums, they asked Jingles to come on by and voice their opinions for them via their online server system. And right there, as you can see, that's their server, Korea's main hub server right there at the bottom there. And they're going to be going to the forums and saying what's what about what their opinions are on the situation. And hopefully Jingles can help resolve something for them.
Yeah. Because there were a lot of threads about why is there not a North Korea tech tree and stuff like that.
And they've officially named him Kim Jong Jingles.
Kim Jong. Yes. Because you know Jingles plays enough to at least, you know, be able to post every week if he wants to. So
yeah.
Wouldn't it be Kim Jong Ingles?
Kim Jong Eagles. Kim Jong Eagles. Why not?
To the salt mines with you. That's where you get everybody to go to.
Absolutely. So hopefully they can resolve their situations and their issues, and life can move on.
They seem very interested in what he's pointing at, though.
I love how he's got binoculars.
Yeah.
It's like they're looking at a computer screen.
Well, no, you gotta understand.
We might need to zoom in on this
you gotta
pixel.
Understand that in Korea they could not afford a large monitor, so that he's working off like a little 12-inch laptop. The binoculars is so that he can just read the font. That's all it is. That's all it's there for.
Because I thought the big monitor might have been 4K, and 4K makes everything so damn small that you need a binocular.
No. That's the teleprompter.
Oh. That's
because you never speak your mind. You have to do whatever they say. So that's what Jingles has to say. And obviously you can see his smile. He's like, they want me to say this. Kill me. Get me out of here.
Alright. Well, that's awesome. Guys, if you have any information about what Jingles is up to, what he's doing, any pictures, any photos that you want to send in to us to be featured on Jingles Watch, send it in a private message to Metagamingtv here on Twitch, because there's still no email. And this one actually was sent in by Noif. Thank you, Noif, for leaking that photo to us.
Thank you, Noif.
Getting out of North Korea. I hear it's very difficult to get stuff out of the press in North Korea.
Not if you're Jingles.
Not for Jingles.
Noif, that ninja, being there taking the photo. All right, exactly. Not if you're Jingles. He probably came right, like he landed there straight from the space station, didn't he? He's like, oops, I'm in Korea. Hey guys, what's up? All right, well, this is gonna have to be, because this is one of those where it has to be Adam or Pax who who goes through this this topic and helps us, you know, decide what to talk about the other way.
Is he pointing to me?
No, he was trying to, I assume.
Well, yeah, I'm reversed on your damn thing. So.
I like the other way. He was like pointing out to nobody. It was pointing to my Steam profile. I'm like, no.
To the chat. The chat starts. The chat starts it.
So Adam, go from whichever top, bottom, middle you want. But which things here do you find, like, which are we gonna pick apart here.
Wow. All right. All right. So let's.
I'll link everybody the post, by the way, in Twitch chat.
This is good, by the way. This is good.
We'll go with the elephant in the room, and we'll go for the top one.
Okay.
Because it is about the most famous of all famous tech trees, is the Italian tech tree.
Yeah.
So, there have been rumors about the Italian aircraft tree in the works. How many aircraft can we expect to see in the tech tree? Will we be able to see it soon? And the dev's response was yes. We are working on a standalone Italian aircraft tree. It's still quite soon to be more specific, but in the end we plan for it to be somewhere comparable to the Japanese tree regarding the number of aircraft. So, 10 aircraft? It's an immense amount of work and still far from being complete, but we plan to announce it officially and share some more information with you in the coming months. Now, I feel like that one is probably up there in the level of importance, far be it with all the others. Quite frankly, everybody is hyped for the Italian tech tree, especially the... Well, one question. Do you think they'll take those German, the aircraft that are currently in the German tech tree and move them into the Italian one, or do you think they'll stay in the German one? Side question.
What do you think, Kota?
They'll move them. They already moved them into their own branch because they were completely mixed in with the German aircraft, and now they're all in one column in the German tree. So if they have an Italian nation selection, then they'll take those planes and move them over, I'm sure.
You might want to change back. You might want to change back to your microphone on the headset.
Oh yeah, it's changed it because you.
It didn't save it?
No, it didn't save it.
No.
Alright, so while he's doing that, do you then think that we will then have them all unlocked? The ones that you've previously had?
Well, if you unlocked
Good
anything,
question.
you'll probably keep it unlocked, I think.
Because how easy is that for them to do? And then how would that work?
It's still the
how would they stick
same.
everything
It's still the
around?
same, plane. If they're moving a plane, it's still the same plane. You've already unlocked it. I
Right.
mean, not the
This
ID of the
never
plane
been
doesn't
done in War
change.
Thunder before. This has never been done in War Thunder before. They haven't.
They might make you re-unlock them, but they might do a reimburse.
But then what about those something 20 or 30 of those bombers? The SU.
SM-79s, 7
Yeah.
of them.
What about those? What about those 20 that I have and 5 that some other person has? I want my
Yeah.
20. I want
They
the
had
20
7.
SM-79s.
Don't worry. I don't.
Yeah,
I
they had 7. If you didn't unlock them all in a certain time, they locked out the last 2. So you don't even see them anymore if you didn't unlock them. And obviously, they're making an Italian tree. So, yeah, they're going to be in that tree, all right. And if they do a move over, I can't see why they would make you just have them. I would think they would make you just re-unlock them. And they would reimburse you the RP or lines or whatever that it would cost to get those unlocks. I don't know why they would have you just start with a half-done tech tree. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
But I
to
feel
me.
like it's a little unfair to then make you regrind for some of those. Because then what about parts and stuff? What about it just doesn't seem right to then make you do it all again either. Like it feels.
That's true too. But I mean, I don't mind that personally. I don't mind that at all because right now we have a game that is 3v2, Axis Allies wise, and with particularly in our MOA sim mode, depending on the content drops, a lot of and even with tank mode right now, in tank mode it's 2v1 all the time, 24/7. Unless of course they do a rotation, then it's either Russia versus Germany, maybe sometimes really late, then it'll be America versus Russia to do like a Korean type of thing. But 90% of the time, it's Russia and Germany. Russia and America versus Germany. And even in main queue, you only have 2 Axis nations and 3 allied nations. And it ends up being a lot of times of where if you want to get a quick game right away, go over to Germany and it's probably not going to be an issue. But the thing is that we've played so much of Germany and so much of Japan. Well, maybe not so much Japan for some people, but even then they don't have a lot of planes. That those trees are done. And you get tired of playing the same thing. I mean, they're fun planes, they're interesting and unique stuff in those trees. But sometimes you do want to go play British. You want to go play American. You want to play Russian a little bit. And it can be really hard to get a game if you don't go to the Axis side. This balances the equation again. It's 3v3, which is perfect, I think, now, finally. And because there'll be a push in a new tree, a lot of people are going to want to play Axis again. So some of the guys who got really sick of Axis can go play Allies, while these other guys who want to get this new Italian Axis tree can go grind that. There's a potential for in sim mode anyways, for games to be happening a shitload faster. At least I hope. And if they get the ground forces going with Italian ground forces, stuff like that, people don't realize that the trees are like...
It says airplanes here, like specifically, but I'm not sure.
Specifically?
It says Italian aircraft
gonna,
tree, so we
they're
don't know
probably
about
at... they should. I mean, because Italian had a wicked navy. I mean, it never really did much because it got destroyed, but they had a wicked navy. Just saying. They had a wicked navy. They did have a crazy line of planes. You don't know much about them because
yeah, but you said ground forces. Maybe in the Navy they'll have a tree. Like, we just don't know. Like, the thing they're talking about here is specifically aircraft.
They're talking about aircraft, but I gather that like the Japanese, who didn't have the most amazing armored force, they will add something to them.
Yeah.
They had not an amazing armored force. Technically, they did have a great plethora of variety in tanks, whether or not they got made into mainstream or they were prototyped or they were just papered. They have a huge list of tanks. It's a pretty good list. It's just that where they were fighting, 90% of the tanks they needed had to be transportable, light, and in the jungle. So they had a lot of light, small tanks. That's the nature of the war they fought. But there's actually quite a good list of tanks. The Italian had a good list of stuff. I mean, they had some pretty cool planes. It's just that those are nations that didn't have the economy to pump out massive amounts compared to, like, when you're comparing like to the amount of Russian IL-2s and German 109s, they like those planes dwarf the amounts of planes that Italian had, right? But they did have a good spread of different planes. And obviously there's some premium planes but that are in Germany that are like Hungarian planes, for example, and stuff like that. They can do that in the Italian tree too. There's going to be a lot of like those Warpack type of planes that are going to be mixed across. You're probably going to see some German premiums on the Italian tech tree as well. I really hope not capture planes. I fucking hate those. But I mean, we're going to be seeing some stuff like that. They'll be able to fill that. They can fill that list up with variances like they have. Like, count how many 109s you have. Count how many Yaks you have. Count how many ILs you have. Tons. I mean, we're going to see a shit ton of different like MCs and SM79s. We're going to see a lot of variances. We may not see a lot of diversity in different unique planes, but we're going to see a lot of variety and variances in different models of a particular plane.
Just like the Spitfire.
But you have to remember that it sounds like you're talking World War II. This goes all the way up to Korea.
That too, yeah. So I mean,
post-war, they have a lot of even early jet aircraft that are really unique to their nation as well.
Yeah, there's tons they can do. I mean, they did it for Japan in a sense. They had a Kai 200, which didn't do anything, R2Y2s, and Sabre, which is I mean, like there's ways around these problems that they can do, captured or prototype or whatever. They'll figure out how to fill out those gaps relatively quickly.
So about the keeping airplanes, Sky Bearcat says with caps even that you get to keep them. Lazar has said so, and that he's working on the Italian tree. Like, Lazar has said that he's a game dev that, so it's
Lazar is the best.
Yeah. So
I don't see I don't see why when they just move the planes over.
No, it's the same ID. It doesn't like. If there's anything I'm sure about, and I'm not even a game dev, is that it's easier for them to let you keep them than to not let you keep them.
Yeah, and you have to think like your account. You have files that are locked because you haven't unlocked them, and then you have files that are unlocked because you've already unlocked them. And all they're doing for the game is just moving the file to a different picture location. Yeah. So I would assume that you're going to have the plane unlocked with all of the modifications unlocked as well.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. Don't think there's going to be any difference there. All right. So I mean, but we plan to announce it officially and share some information with you in the coming months. That could technically be 9 months from now. like that they will. I mean, they don't even use the word soon. You know.
I just looked at chat, and Try Harder has a question for me and Pax. He's wondering what the attachments are on our headset.
We get that every month. A week.
Oh.
Because Pax says.
And yes, they are head tracking.
Yep.
Oh, good job, Pax.
Pax is on it like Sonic.
It's every week we're
like quite on Rise.
There's people like, what is that on Pax's head, coming out of his head?
Yeah. And it's something that can be used actually in a lot of games. It's not just like flight sims.
Arma. It's a good example.
Yeah, Arma, first person, a lot of first person stuff.
You can actually download a little thing for it that turns your track IR into the mouse, and I used it in GTA 5. So I had head tracking in GTA 5 when I was driving around inside the car. I'll go into like driver mode inside the car and use head tracking. It was fucking tight. It was awesome.
It's tight.
It's tight.
Will it improve my rating capabilities when playing WoW?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, if you
absolutely
more
not.
DPS, smack the keyboard with your face. That's
But no,
it,
like
there you
looking at this list, you're like, I guess we're kind of getting a little bit off the turn.
Yes,
here.
Adam.
Sorry.
Whoop my
Alright.
way.
You have mentioned that there are still plans. So the next big elephant in the room is everybody's favorite matchmaker and battle rating. So you have mentioned that there are still plans for implementing new BR matchmaking system. Any new information? We still need to improve interface a little more to make new MMR more clear and understandable for you. And if I can find the add-on to that question, which was, will the Typhoon be getting a matchmaking change? So a lot of not only sort of a broad sort of matchmaker, how does it work, what's going to happen, and sort of a very specific, the Typhoon, two very different specific things about the matchmaker on the dev one.
It sounds like they already have a new MM in then. We still need to improve the interface a little more to make new MM more clear and understandable. Well, okay, maybe they're still working on when they implement it.
Well, also they were talking about 0.7 battle rating rather than a 1.0 battle rating matchmaker. So they might also be referring to trying to figure out how that works. They also had a few weeks ago a post where they were showing if you had like a 7.0 BR plane, so they showed it as a jet, and then you had like a 6.0 battle rating jet and plane, and then you had like a biplane at 1.0. The 1.0 biplane just wouldn't count as as any sort of stat with your matchmaker. It would just be then the other two, and then if you had a jet and then two props, it would kind of average it out a little bit. So instead of being maybe 7.0, it might be 6.7. So it might bring it a BR rating down to compensate for the fact that you have one jet, two sort of prop planes. But if you took like a jet and then two biplanes, it would just say these BRs are too crazy. You're obviously trying to fiddle something. Scrap those two. You're not getting. They don't count. You're going into 7.0. But if you were to take like, as I said, like a 7.0 and then two 6.0s, then it should sort of average it out to 6.7. So it could also be referring to that to try and make that more clear, because in game you have no idea. Like you could throw like 5 planes into a. Well, this is more arcade.
Well, in that circumstance, you said it was like 1 7.0 and 2 6.0s. Wouldn't that average out to 6.3?
They only want to bring it down 1 BR. They don't
Only
want...
1 BR.
Yeah, because could you imagine a jet that's 7.0 going in 6.3?
I think people used to troll very hard with this back when you could.
Kind of like bringing like an ace hole type of thing, right? Yeah, just have that overwhelming.
Amazing, unstoppable plane going up against a load of okay planes.
Yeah. Have they said much about the 0.7 BR difference for arcade? Because obviously you have the player base that can split the amount of games.
I think they do want to try and make it. Obviously, with Sim Tanks, they had you play very specific tanks. So I don't know how. I think they might still do that, but I think they were looking into it for RB and arcade to try and sort of stop the whole 7.0 tanks going up against sort of 6.0 tanks.
The MM
we don't even have an option. There is no BR in Sim Tanks.
Yeah,
Sim
no,
Tanks,
you just get these very specific.
We tell you to try.
No, yeah. So that's a problem for you guys, but for arcade, I think an RB they want to try and do it so that way, as I said, you don't want 6.0 tanks going up against 7.0. They're trying to get it so they go up against max 6.7, which is pretty reasonable because those tanks can easily go up against each other, and you also don't want like 6.7 tanks going up against like nearly 7.7 tanks. Like that seems a little.
Tanks is weird like that. Yeah.
So like with I don't play a lot of tanks, but with tanks are the battle ratings still historically accurate?
No,
or is it completely different eras of tanks facing each other right now?
Just like in planes, like the KV2s going up against Tigers. Well, that sounds right.
They're just trying to balance it based off
off perforence of each individual.
Yeah, it feels like that's what they're doing.
Just like in planes.
Yeah, we've talked about this before in other ones too, because like in history we can't reenact history. We can't have 1 Tiger versus 10 Shermans.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to always be an even playing field of 1 tank versus 1 tank. And even if your tank is significantly less performing, but they both came out at the same time, they're going to have a BR change. That way you might end up going against, like, for example, Germany has no Korean tanks, obviously. So you're going to have Mouses, which is like made like, what, 1, 2 of them again? I really don't know. Yeah. 2. They made 2 of them. They're going to go against like IS-3s and 4s. Korean, like, 3s. Like after war tanks. Never happened in real life. Never will. But because of just their performance factors, you have to put them against each other. It's gonna planes are a little bit weirder because you don't really have to follow that rule too much. You can kind of go a little more historically accurate, a little bit more, because obviously we have a shitload more planes right now, and also because of just the dynamic of the game itself, of where we've talked about this before as well, of where in arcade it's more about a mix between performance and a lot of gunpowder, and then while in Sim, guns, your flight model is a really big factor in where you should be in performance and rating and BR. Like, the better your flight model usually ends up being a higher bar, even if you don't have like guns or cannons, for example. Like an MC-202 Fulguri is a good example of that, or Mustangs and stuff like that, right? So, yeah, it's just a balancing act, even if they don't really meet up all the time. Bye, Kota.
Bye, Kota. Yeah, he just left.
He had to go to the bathroom. He had to go to the bathroom, probably.
Oh no, the dog. There was a dog. There was a dog that needed to go, so I think the dog needed to go to the bathroom.
Oh. That was funny. Like, now I lost my train of thought.
How about this?
About MM. Yeah. So, like, the average battle rating thing that kinda happens with airplanes doesn't happen with tanks, right? As far as I know, it doesn't. As far as I've noticed, like, the highest BR tank you bring.
No, it doesn't happen with tanks.
It doesn't.
Yep, it does not happen with tanks.
I know, right? And I'm a little bit like, I mean, it made sense back in the days of, only War Thunder only having airplanes that, in I guess this is, again, arcade. In arcade, that it would, like, average out the BR, that sounded like a nice idea on paper. But like with all those things, then that you bring in a higher tier plane into a lower tier game, stuff like that. I just feel you don't need that. Like, what? Just put the BR of your lineup at the highest BR that you're bringing, and you will just have to use that. If you bring a lesser plane, then you'll just have to that. Like, it's arcade. It's not like it doesn't feel like it's that big of a factor. So yeah, I prefer it to be, don't average out the BR, just let it be whatever the highest
one is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's the fairest, because I have had one instance where somebody took the 5.9 Spitfire, and this was I think when the first thing got implemented, it was kind of bugged, like broken kind, and this dude took literally just the Spitfire, the American one. And you could tell it was the American one because it obviously had the star next to its name. And it threw that into the game. And I was playing like it must have been 4.7 or 3.7. So like Spitfire 2Bs. All of a sudden you see this Mark 9 Spitfire come out of the middle of nowhere, fucking wrecking everything. This thing was against us. It was like, what the heck's going on? Like, this thing shouldn't even be anywhere near here. And that was the first. I think he had like a lineup of biplanes and he managed to pad it so hard that it literally just curbed it to the ground, and it was just like, there you go, there's 3.7. You've blatantly not got the right planes, but here you go, here's 3.7 BR, have fun. So this one dude was just flying around getting crazy with his skills.
Yeah.
Needless to say, that obviously got fixed quite quickly, but
yeah. So I think that I don't see a reason to, like, I can't come up with a way to defend the we're gonna make an average BR depending on what planes you bring type of. I don't see a reason for it, honestly. I just feel like, why is that there to begin with? It might have been a good idea back in the days when they were, it sounded good, but... Well,
I think that's why they haven't done it for tanks. Maybe they do want to get rid of it.
Exactly.
It seems like so easy just to kind of move that sort of mechanic over from one sort of thing to another. Yeah. It does seem kind of weird to just go...
And it doesn't feel bad in tanks. Like, you'll go into arcade tanks and you'll be like, you just... Okay, I'm bringing this tank, which is 5.0, and the other is 3.7. I know these 3.7 is slightly less good, but whatever's,
And yeah, you know where you stand obviously we're talking about arcade and RB, but you know where you stand when you go, oh, I've lined up, like, especially when we're streaming, we're trying to get like a team set up. We're like 5.7 BR, go. Like nobody tries to work out the average. They just go 5 point. Well, how close can I get to that? Like,
Yeah.
like it just seems so pointless to try and go. Oh, it
Bring
also
out the
adds, like,
calculator.
right. It kind of makes me feel like, well, I've got the BF 110. Can I make this thing go down to a 2.0 battle rating so I don't see any yaks anywhere? How could I do that? Is there a way for me? Like, it just seems like I'm trying to swindle the matchmaker any more than I already do. Like, well, I don't really swindle it, but I go, like, I want to fly 3.0 planes. What's the most efficient battle rating planes I can take for that tier? Like, I don't want to then have to work out if I want them to be in 2.7. How do I do that? Like,
It should just be like, you know, my highest BR plane is 3.0. I'm gonna be in 3.0. Like, there you go, easy, simple.
done.
Yep.
Into game.
Yeah.
Against other planes that are either 4.0 or 2.0.
Exactly.
As maximum or minimum. That just, like, it's like what it takes. Like, they have, like, a +2, -2 system. Like, if you're going into 6. Like, they don't have, oh, well, if you have this in your lineup, you could go into 2.5. There you go. It's like, no, it's whole numbers.
Now, we were talking about the Italian tree, which is confirmed. There's also some other questions about this other tree that's actually potential, too. But it's part of a community tech tree. It's an ongoing process throughout the forums. And one of the questions here is, I would like to know the status of the French aircraft, or of the tree of French aircraft. Any plans? Will they have their own tech tree? It will not have its own tech tree with French aircraft. They will be part of an international tech tree with aircraft from different countries. We also currently monitor the community tech tree project. The community tech tree project, for anybody who's interested in chat, I'm going to put it up here right now.
It's called International Tech Tree Project, I think.
And this is where you can lay down your case of a certain plane you'd like to see in the game. And of course, they recommend that you put imagery, as much as you can, statistics, actual statistics of the plane, why you think War Thunder should have it, stuff like that. And they accumulate this information. And these planes could potentially put into, which would be a potential 7th nation, international nation.
I like that, though, because you have so many minor nations, right?
I mean, well, British is a great example because it's Commonwealth and it has a bunch of, like, allied nations in it. So, I mean, you have, what, Australian,
Australia,
French. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it's easy for them to do that. Same with Germany, too. They had a couple allied nations as well. Russia had the Lend-Lease program. America had Canada a little bit, but they were a powerhouse on their own.
And it depends. Yeah, that all depends on the timeline.
You know, all the Swedish.
Yeah, that too.
All of that is changing. So throughout the game, there's.
I really like this. Like, this is something, because this just
Sweden's on their screen.
Really. We had a Spitfire.
Well, it's a work in progress. Swedish Air Force is up there.
Dude, we had a Spitfire. We had I think we actually had the Spitfire we actually had, and I learned this because I went to live.warthunder.com and downloaded, Swedish Spitfire skin, and somewhere in there was like, well, this is not historically accurate because the Swedes had the twin engine Spitfire, which isn't in the game yet.
The one Air Force I would probably want to play is Poland.
Oh, but that's the thing. We have so many minor nations or nations that we can't make a whole tech tree. That would be dumb. But I would love to see an international one. I would love that. It would just be so much more content to the game, right? This is where they think about how are we gonna extend releasing content to War Thunder now that we've almost completed all these tech trees, right? Like, how are we gonna keep adding airplanes to the game? Well, here you go.
Now, obviously, to no disrespect to those nations, but obviously some of them might find it difficult to get all the way, even all of them strapped together. Like, just looking at the examples they've given, there's only sort of two, there's a third one. Most of them are all stuck around tier 1 and 2. So what are they, how...
Oh, Sweden produced a jet in 1950 called Tunan. Saab Tunan. It's actually, it is awesome.
It's actually a really cool looking jet.
It is a really... It is.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Is that in DCS?
I'm
no.
not sure.
No?
I don't play.
It's
a really cool thing.
So I mean, how many of these tier 1 aircraft would they be happy to put 90% of these in? Would they be willing to put? Because there's a lot of, like, just in this base one, there's a lot of tier 1 aircraft, like more so than in probably any other nation already in the game. tier 1 aircraft. So would they be happy to just go, here's load tier 1 aircraft and go? Like, or would they want to try and keep it sort of even, like a nice sort of even sort of tech tree like they've got with all the other nations?
And are you going to have an international allies and an international axis?
Yeah, who are they going to face?
Good point.
That's the difference.
Who are they going to face? Because I don't think they're
Yeah,
going to do two tech trees like you said, they're axis and allies.
This international tree is spread across all the nations.
They just go up against everyone.
Line,
they just
right beside the premiums or something.
Oh. Or just
You know what I
they
mean?
go up against
Yeah.
everyone, I guess. I mean, they could be that
So
one that just...
yeah, they didn't say international like nation or whatever. It's just an international tree. I don't know if they mean that's very vague. Obviously.
But I think it's one tree. It will have both Axis and Allies stuff, and I think it can just face everyone. Like I don't think that's important in the case.
I agree yet disagree at the same time. No.
I support this shit more than I support capture planes. Premium capture. Just copy paste premiums. I support this way more because
a premium tech tree.
a whole premium tech tree. Go.
No. I mean that's basically what it fucking is.
I hope they doesn't charge you for this one.
How many premium spits do we have beside other spits at the same tier? They're just. The new LA7, that Hero LA7 is literally a copy paste with a different skin. It's just a premium plane, right? This type of stuff though is cool. That's one of the reasons I bought both boomerangs, the Mustang Mark 1A, the D520, because they're unique as shit. And I don't care if they perform that great at wherever they are. They're just interesting to fly. Like that D520 is cool. The boomerangs are my favorite.
Yeah, I love boomerang.
I think for, the 100 of days that I've played the game, I think I've shot down maybe 2 boomerangs.
Nobody flies that.
Maybe one. Maybe
Don't
one.
hate on the boomerang.
I'm just saying that's how rare it is. It's so fun to...
And it's amazing. I love playing that.
Be in the air and you go... Well, in Sim anyways, you have to identify. You go and you're like, what is this thing in the air? This thing is so little.
It's like a squish Spitfire.
It's hideous. I have one question, Pax, about your international tech tree. Now, obviously you don't like captured aircraft because they're very difficult to tell the difference between the two. So
captured aircraft is
that
bad.
means that if the international tech tree can go on either side, how easy do you think it would be to then distinguish between if Sweden was on, say, the Axis side one time, and then Sweden was on the Allied side one time? Like, how would you then try and balance that?
I hope they wouldn't do that. I hope they would have this international tech tree to whatever side of the war they were on.
The problem is that Sweden was never on
then
any side.
you would need 2 tech trees.
Maybe in Korea we were. I don't know about that, but I'm just saying we've been neutral for the fucking ever. Like, ever since we were fighting, in modern time. Let's say modern time.
I said you were on one side and then on the other side, so I never actually said which side you're on. But anyways,
no, but that's
so then you would
then.
need 2 tech trees. You would need an Allied and an Axis one, then surely.
Yeah.
So then you would literally need to split the already sort of very split nations into more split nations.
But an easy way for Gaijin to do that would be when you're in the main menu, you have 2 options, Axis or Allies. Click on it. It opens up your nations that are there, and then you click on, say, Allies, and then you click on US, and then it opens the tech tree for you. Like, it would be super simple to implement. And you know what I'm saying? So, like, you start the game, you click, I want to fly Allies, and then it opens up US, Britain, Russia, and international allies, and you click on that, and then you click on whatever. That's the only way I could see it working.
I want it to be its own tech
They
tree,
could do something like this too, because they've completely destroyed the reason of even having them separated in the first place, which is the ×2 system. We have to do your daily with every nation, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's gone now. You could now start mangling the game all you want. You can just amalgamate them into Axis versus Allies with international mixed into it, and then go ham. You can do things like that now. Now that we don't have to worry about nation progression via the bonuses of their daily login stuff.
Yeah.
But also, here's something that at least Pax said something early in this one where which it had me think about when it comes to premiums and shit, and you like prototypes and blah blah blah. This is like the airplanes these are the airplanes they could have done premiums out of. You know what I mean? Like these are the ones that I've been like, all right. I would understand they put them in as premiums because they didn't really, for all these different reasons they were, not major part, or they were neutral, or whatever reason. Like these are the airplanes I would maybe expected from the beginning would have been made into premiums, but now instead we have like what we have, but which makes me, I don't want them to be premium. I really don't want these to be premiums now. I want this to be a tech tree which I can actually get and unlock and play. But yeah, it's definitely like the challenges, like you guys say, is who are they gonna face, how they're gonna make it. However, I think this is awesome. Like this international tech tree. Oh yes, like this, I can't wait.
Go through that forum thread. Go and look at some of the suggestions, and a couple of them have been like.
I'm looking at what's been finished so far. It's just amazing.
There's some cool shit in there. There's
it's
some very
just
cool shit in there.
amazing.
I mean, obviously, it's not even near priority compared to other things right now. I mean, right now, the next things out the pipeline are going to be World War mode and bomber cockpits. That's what
I'm not sure
said.
if World War. Wait, really?
Nah,
World War mode?
No.
I don't think that's the next thing, but obviously ground forces. But
Go to
Ground-
go to the dev blog. That is their their to-do list or roadmap. Tournaments. That was right now what's in development right now. Tournaments, and you can already get your tickets and stuff into it. That's already going, and they just showed up the statistics now. From the 1v1 that just happened tournament, the leaderboards, they just showed that. Dion DeBlanc was in the top 10 arcade, by the way. And now they're probably going to continue rolling on that. But on the roadmap, next two vague things: World War mode, bomber cockpits.
But I don't think we're gonna see World War mode before ships.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think we are.
I don't think so.
I honestly
think we are.
Nope. All right, $5 we won't.
I've already got a bet on that the next big update contains British tanks.
Oh really?
I
that's...
bet you. I'll put $5 down. I'll put $5 down. The World War mode is going to be just tank and plane right now, and they'll incorporate ships along the way.
All right. How much Eagles is that? Well,
$5. I'll make it 10. Let's make it interesting.
Ten. Okay,
Quick, somebody make a note. I'll make a note.
The
on
$10 bet.
Highlight it. World War mode comes out before boats.
And I don't think it does.
At least the prototype or whatever in the main
What is it?
game.
War talk. All right, hang on.
Well, I can see
You
that.
can't
with
highlight
the-
it yet.
No, I'm putting it.
Look
on
at it
the,
this way.
I'm putting it on the
They've already-
Gmail document.
They've started. It's still round based right now. They've already started the ground steps of mixing the vehicles in, tanks and planes. That's already begun. They're already in the same game. I mean, obviously, air controls the skies, ground wins the war, or wins the round in a sense, right? Now, how Navy gets into that, I don't know how they're going to incorporate that shit. I don't know how they're going to do it. But the first ground phases have been done. Now, what they decide to do with the actual game round itself, how they're going to extend it, how it's going to work with diversity between what the plane's going to do besides just cover the ground, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know how they're going to expand on that. But I know I got something in the back of my head says that's going to be first. They're going to figure out that game mode even before boats are done, even before all tanks are done. It might even come with the British tanks.
But is that going to see? My thing is World War mode going to be a game mode,
We had
or is it going to be a system like, say, PlanetSide has, where I think it's going to be more of a competition between Axis versus people who like flying Axis versus people who like flying Allies. I think the games are going to be this. I think the game modes are going to be somewhat the same, but say Allies wins this round.
You think it's going to be a campaign?
Sort of
Like
a campaign
like an interactive
style.
Like Heroes and
Yeah.
Generals?
Yeah, something like that is what
That's
I'm
what I want to see. I want something
perceiving. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you have, you have all the theaters
Yep.
of war, and it can get pushed around by each individual game. And so say you're pushing the Axis back, people hop on the Axis side and try to shove back the ally. You know what I mean?
That's what I
think that's
said.
how it's going to be.
You see,
I think
when they
it's
add
going to
more
be something like
missions and they add more maps, and you can kind of pick what front you want to fight at in a sense and try to push that front line forward. Maybe there's a beneficial system built into it. You just get better RP on game and unlocks on whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can see that.
I don't see
That's
it being.
a cool
I
option.
don't see it being its own its own mode. I mean,
Yeah,
it
we'll
will
see.
be, but
The only reason I think about the old mode thing, Kota, is because they've been teasing us with these long missions.
yeah, I think it's going to be like that, but it's going to be you go into World War mode, and now you're into some sort of progressive game of War Thunder. It's still going to be War Thunder, but you have this depth of progression and, I don't know, control like of the war, I guess is how I picture it.
We'll see how it goes. We actually had half an episode dedicated to just talking about this. We've been brainstorming this quite a while, and
Yeah,
it's
sounds
difficult.
it sounds cool, but
It sounds cool. It's
It sounds cool, but it's so vague with information. We have no idea what the fuck's coming. I got a feeling. I'm gonna put that $10 down, saying it's gonna come before shit.
yeah. Well, we have a bet. We'll see.
All right, good.
It's on Google, so it'll be
It's
it'll
on
be saved.
Google.
It'll be
It's on
saved for
Google.
all eternity.
It's official. It's been
16.
data.
What's the date today? 16 of the.
War Talk episode 20.
It's
War Talk episode 27. the bet is closed.
Shut up.
All right. So, all right, Adam. We want to find another one of that.
Oh, we got to do another one. All right, let me find another good controversial one.
Here's a good one. Will ships and ground targets made destroyable by ramming? It's not a name for 1.49. And in any case, player tanks will stay unrammable.
Wait, what? Wait, will ships and ground targets made?
I don't even know
destroyable?
why that's even.
In any case,
I don't-
player tanks will say. What do you mean unram? Can't you,
can't
ram
ram
tanks?
a tank.
That's
You can't
bollocks.
ram a tank with a plane.
That's the thing they're trying to say. I don't know
'cause
why
I-
they use the word
Yeah,
ship.
that is worded like absolute.
Because I was like, you
rubbish.
can definitely ram
By
with
the way,
tanks. I've seen that.
This is a side note. This is a side note. Now, obviously, they've added the Calliope, but the people failed to mention, but they also added amphibious tanks. Like, I mean, not in the game yet, but there was amphibious tanks. Japan had like boat tanks.
Yeah.
They could drive on the
US.
water and then onto land.
The Allies tried doing that so they could get over to Normandy, didn't they?
No, I mean, even the Shermans had like huge snorkel systems so that they can go up the beaches and stuff like that.
The mounts.
Mouse, was it too?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
They would attach to each other, and one would push the other one in, and then the other one would pull the other one
That
out.
was the only way for them to actually get across the river.
Yeah, because bridges weren't strong enough to hold them.
But
so-
talking about like unique things like with Japan, for example, stuff like that, and if they add like Navy boats, stuff like that, we might see some pretty interesting shit with boats. I mean, you might have a tank that can go out into the water a little bit and wreak some havoc. I mean, there could be some cool shit coming down the road here for stuff like that.
I just wanted to see that mouse, though. That is like, because yeah, the mouse was waterproof, they say. But I would like to see that mouse go on a riverbed and not get stuck.
And remember how we were talking about the Calliope with the rockets, and then what if they brought in the Sturm Tiger? That's been confirmed. That sucker's
Oh
coming
yeah,
to the game.
I saw
That-
it.
That 203 or 230 millimeter rocket tank
Yep.
is going to be in the game.
It was somebody took a screenshot of like a file, didn't they,
Yeah,
and slapped it on
the
something.
The
file is
fridge
there.
launcher will be in the game.
Yeah, that really is a fridge launcher.
That's a fridge launcher.
That's not even launched. That's like a battleship grade weapon strapped to a tank.
Anybody
strapped to land.
in chat, go Google Sturm Tiger and find a picture of a dude who's like sitting in the barrel.
Google. Sturm Tiger.
Yeah,
And, oh god, what
it's
the fuck?
crazy.
Hey, it's very short, but it's thick.
380. Wow, I was way off. Not even 200. 380 millimeter rocket.
So pretty much like sewers in Sweden. All right.
Take take the fuselage of like a
Why is the
low
barrel
G-
so
like,
short?
You can
This is
fit like oh my gosh.
It's really it's not
It's
really a
bigger
shell
than
of
it's
a
bigger
rocket.
than the clown cannons you see at the circus.
Oh, this was the first clown cannon. It was like, oh, we can use this. Oh god.
It's massive.
All right, that's so cool. I like that. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna drive it up to a mouse, like on the side of a mouse, and just put my barrel next to it, and I'll create a porthole.
So we're going to be seeing like they've already committed to we're going to see some pretty unique ass shit. I mean,
I'm
we
happy.
do have
I
that on.
like that.
We already have that in planes. You may not be more aware of it, but like the Tempest with Vickers, the G series of Junkers, those are technically PBJs. Those are in the air sluggers. They shoot massive weird projectiles. They are very unique planes in that rightfully way. The other Mosquito, the one Mosquito variants as well. So tanks are now getting rockets.
I imagine the boxing glove coming
Yay.
with that thing.
There's going to be
I-
interesting
How
stuff.
long-
I mean,
how
like,
long
we're
do
going
you
to get the
think that thing would
Katusha.
take- How long do you think that thing would take to reload?
Probably about a minute.
About a minute.
Oh, maybe 2. You
An
probably
hour.
get 10. You probably get 5 rounds.
5
No.
rounds. Oh my god.
They're
You
quite
gotta make
big.
it count.
The rounds are big.
It's a bunker buster, is what it is,
Mm.
really. But I mean, obviously, we're not. The game.
Do you think
is
that's a
not
premium? Do
bunker.
you think that will be a premium?
Oh, if they wanted to, I don't think it'd be an issue for a lot of people. I mean, if it
You
was
know,
a $50
what was it?
premium,
Like,
I
was
would
gonna
not
say-
be
I was
surprised.
gonna say like $50 premium incoming.
They tested the waters with the Calliope, and then we'll find out how successful that was, depending on the Sturm Tiger, I guess.
This
We'll
is
see.
going to be the one where, because I played a game of tanks last Sunday, right? I mean, I played several, but in one of them I actually did. I mean, at least when you looked at the what is that cam? Yeah, the kill cam. At least it looked like I actually hit the damn tank I was firing at inside the barrel. Like literally, it was one of those like holding one, right? This one will be so easy to do that on. It's quite a big, you know,
you
you'll
can
be
shoot down
firing
the barrel
into the tank,
and-
right? Like.
You can shoot down the barrel and hit the breach, and then it can explode into the breach and
Yeah.
completely
So that would be
destroy
pretty
inside the tank.
like that. You know, you have a big hole to hit in this one.
Oh, if you miss that, you've definitely got problems. You need to use that auto aim, son.
Here's one that's really close to my heart.
Okay.
Are some improvements planned for gunners in 1.49? Well, that's already passed. We've got the machine gun boost, but the dev is, I hope, yes. For sure, there will be more accurate limits for gunner fire zones.
And on this topic,
Kota
No,
is
it's-
gonna strangle a child.
The Codasphere.
gunner, in my opinion, even in sim, gunners are modeled quite well. Like,
Uh-oh.
It's gonna be Clash of the Titans.
it's honestly, like, from what I've seen from just playing, it's the attacker's way of attacking that is making gunners seem so powerful. And yeah, they can, I mean, they buff the machine guns because obviously machine guns weren't doing the damage that they're supposed to, but attacking bombers is something that takes a lot of time, and people don't like taking the time to do it. And so they sacrifice the danger zone for the kill, and it ends up with them dying a lot of the time. But in like, if you go and fly by a B7, if you don't go for the attack and you fly by a B17 or something, and you watch, and say he's using his mouse to try to shoot you, his turret only turns so fast, and you can fly past, and you can watch his arc just, it tails you the whole time. Now, if you get into a spot where you're traveling the same airspeed, obviously his turret's going to be able to catch up and shoot out in front of you. But the attacking, the way of attacking is what makes gunners seem so powerful.
You
If
have to
people
have
are-
higher speed, and isn't it you should come from above, right? Like, I mean, you should just
No.
kind of swing by, right? Nope.
Coda's talking a lot
It's
about
a-
tier 4 bombers,
Okay.
right?
It doesn't matter the tier.
Have you tried doing that in low tiers with slow planes against fast SBs and IL4s? Try to catch
It
one.
was slow planes in aisle. What do you mean?
Slow play, flying at lower tiers, trying to catch these bombers with 7s as tail guns, like ripping the wings off J2s, which is considerably a fast plane at its tier. And there's now people. It's getting weird because the guns now they justify the cause because now they do massive
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah.
So you're finding an influx of people who just use the gunners. They'll even turn away. They'll
I
they'll
agree.
come after
I
you
agree.
to engage you, and then you
Yeah.
because you're obviously a better performing plane to go to engage on them. But they'll turn away from you to get the guns on you as fast as they can.
Yeah, and what they're using a tactic that would be used is keeping the attacker in the gun profile. So as the attacker, you have to try to stay out of their fire zone, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to do, and yeah, you might
It's-
not be able to do it alone. You might not be able to do a 1 versus 1 in those lower tiers.
Oh
But
no!
that's why they-
yeah.
That's why they have the comm system in game. Say, all right, we got a bomber over here, and those early bombers, like, yeah, they can still carry a bomb load. They can like in my opinion, I feel that the bombers don't need a buff, but the mission, like the amount of damage that they're able to do within the mission, needs to get adjusted so that games like you can go out in a bomber in those early tiers and you can rack up as much RP as you want because you can go bomb whatever you want. Somebody attacks you, you can put them, you know.
Or lately,
you know what I mean?
you've been seeing bombers in low tier landing in the middle of the map and then just gunning the convoys with their machine guns.
Yep.
That's been happening.
That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of times it's
There's a
the
dynamic
mission,
that's been broken.
the mission dynamic for the bombers, I think, need to be adjusted.
Because obviously they're a purpose plane. When you're a fighter,
Yeah.
you're a fighter. When
Yeah.
you're a ground attacker, you're a ground attacker. Obviously, the ground attacker can do good in air to air, but it's going to lose the long game because you will just not be able to sustain like a fighter can. And the bomber is, well, a bomber. It bombs.
Yeah.
And
I don't think
when you see people who are not utilizing it for its function and they can find a much more profitable
much more
margin,
efficient. Yeah, it's way more
as a-
efficient for them to go sit in front of a convoy line and shoot every single target that drives by them. Because a lot of those convoy lines don't shoot back if you're on the ground.
Yeah.
They'll just drive right past you.
maybe that's
They
what they
could
need
even-
to do then. Fix
a
that.
fix for them for just engage reasons, like, you know, because you can be, there is a good majority of people who will attack a bomber exactly where the bomber wants it to be, riding up at
Yeah,
6.
Exactly.
So at indicated airspeeds with each other, you're literally doing like 5 kilometers an hour in movement because you're both going the same direction. So you're just in this lovely, easy target to nail.
yeah.
Compared to a guy who's being and zooming him. I mean, yes, there's chances where he's going to strike you, and because the machine gun's got a buff, you can get knocked out of the sky. Even when you zoom past him, there's a chance of that. The AI gunners are pretty competent, very accurate. But when you can make, as a bomber, when you can make more money doing that, putting your smoke on, making yourself very easy to find, and picking on these people, and making it a very interesting, it destroys the dynamic of the game because you, as a bomber, your bread and butter of income should come from destroying ground targets
Yep.
as your objective,
Yeah.
compared to taking out other planes.
And one
that
thing-
gain should be minimum.
Maybe killing a plane could just become like in a bomber when you get a kill on an airplane with your machine gunners. Maybe just make that an assist.
No,
and that's
no,
what
No,
just
I've-
less.
I
less,
thought that they implemented it at one time, but I thought that bombers, if they destroyed a ground target, got more RP than if they were to destroy an air target. But that's not true. They have the same
No.
percentage of gain on every target, which I think is a big flaw in the game.
Yeah.
I think, for a bomber to destroy an air target, you should get, on a percentage basis, you should get 20%. But now if you destroy that ground target that is worth less currently, you should get the 100%. So you should make the ground targets more effective for the bombers to destroy than them gunning around.
That's a good
just
feedback
waiting
there.
for targets.
Killing a plane and a bomber is a defensive action. It shouldn't be an offensive action.
Exactly.
That's not your goal. Your goal
Yeah.
is to gain your RP and your lines through your purpose, which is bombing targets, bombing bases. That should
Yeah.
be your bread and butter. You should focus on that because that's going to be the most gain. People know that don't even play sim know that the most game is taking out other planes, and they'll take the thing that requires the least amount of learning, experience, and simplicity. So when the tank's a lot of shots, the new damage model has made it so you can't ram them because of the mass that they've introduced to it. So only certain planes made out of certain materials have a chance of even destroying a bomber by ramming, or the bomber just keep flying on. And now you have a machine gun boost. So you've given them a bunch more tools that made them more deadly as
Yeah.
a fighter,
Yeah.
as a flying death machine. Now, yes, Kota is absolutely right. If you play the patient game and you attack them on your terms,
And the thing with
it's much
And
more
with
hard for them
that-
to do anything.
with that being said, especially at the high tier, one of the, and I don't know if I put it on the wrong place on the forums, but it was in the. I know I posted it in the suggestions thread before the Players Council or whatever, but you can't play that game currently because the bombers will destroy your bases, destroy your airfield, and then you lose.
War of attrition.
And yeah,
the joint progress.
Yeah, and one of my suggestion that I posted, this was 6 months ago, but destroying, you have to destroy the bases before you can destroy the airfield. Once you destroy the airfield, that round is over currently. Where if you my suggestion was once the bombers destroy the airfield, just have there be no more airfield. Now that team can't land and refuel. That team can't land and repair. They have to stay airborne, but they should still be able to play the game out. You know what I mean? Because there's still an objective. Yeah, they destroyed the airfield, but the objective is still there. But for the game to just end because your airfield is gone just seems ridiculous to me. The airfield should still be destroyed. Now that team without an airfield can't land and repair, can't land and rearm, but they can still do something within the game.
But as a bomber, and you want to close the game, how would you close the game if you wanted? Because that's incentive for the fighters, because that means the game is done by elimination. It becomes a game of team deathmatch, of where just the team that has no players left wins. Loses. So the bombers' way of ending the game was to destroy all the bases. So would you make it so the bombers destroyed all ground targets, like every tank was down on the match, compared to bomb? Because bases are easy to hit. Play the objective. Destroy the bridges, tanks, bunkers, pillboxes. If those are all gone, that's a win.
Destroying enough stuff that their team destroy. I should still say destroying a bases takes tickets out, and that puts that bombers team ahead on the mission. But they still they still have a base that they can run to that still has AAA, still has all this stuff, and and they can still rearm and repair and whatnot. But you can't. If they destroyed your base, you can't. So, the way I look at it,
I like
once
that
they
idea.
destroy the base, if all those people that took 20, 30 minutes of fuel, for realistic and arcade, it doesn't really matter. Realistic, it still would matter actually a lot. But it would keep the games going longer, and it would allow a lot more dynamic in each game that you play. Say
it would definitely change the pace of the game.
Say you don't have an airfield. Now, if that airfield is destroyed, join in progress gets canceled. You don't have anywhere to take off from. But if their team still has an airfield, their team can still join in progress. So say that bomber gets shot down, he still has an airfield, he can still join back in. That's the only thing I see.
And then if you destroy their airfield, the bomber can't rearm. They can't get more bombs.
Exactly.
Ooh, I do like that idea.
I would say destroying an airfield should never end the mission, but should have different outcomes, such as no more join in progress, and obviously you can't land and repair and rearm. But ending the game, just having ticket bleed for destroying the airfield, that's been, it's always been in the game, and I've suggested a switch. And
with those late nines, like the B-29, stuff like that, they can pretty much destroy the map in a run.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's this game of race the clock and try to get to that bomber before he gets to your base. Exactly. You take him down, he joins in again. You're shooting him down again, he joins in again. All of a sudden, you have to go and rearm, and by the time you're on the ground rearming, that bomber's back, bombing you on the runway. It's just oh my gosh, how do I win this?
Yeah, and I don't know how much. Adam, do you play realistic very often? I don't know how much.
I play arcade.
Okay.
Sorry.
Because
I played a lot of realistic, but I haven't done it.
Andreas does.
Okay. The thing that I see in Sim is if I'm in, since the bombers got such big bomb loads and there are a lot of people flying them, if I fly something tier 4, higher tier 4, tier 5, I don't leave my base. I literally climb to bomber altitude and protect my base. And
that's what it's like now. Yeah.
That's all it's like now. And there's so many people. You have to, otherwise the game's over in the first 4 or 5 minutes. It's a little bit longer than that, but but if if I'm able to climb that out to the altitude, the bomber's destroying my base. Yeah, I can't land, but I can still do something within the match. Because that's what I've seen a huge drop in people flying in those tiers because there's nothing that you can really do.
Yeah.
You can go out. I mean, yeah, you can go out in a bomber and you can bomb stuff while they bomb stuff, but
And it's
as
just
far
race
as
the clock, it's just a speed game.
yeah,
Because
it's like
who can
how
do what
many
faster. It's a race. It becomes a race, no longer an engagement.
Yeah.
It's
I'm not sure
just
if people
get to
still
space
do this, but I remember, like back when I played RB, most of the time, I even remember people when they spawn in the bomber, they just put that slight decrease of altitude to like speed up. Like they're like I'm gonna get to tops. Like I'm just.
Well,
gonna
you remember
race.
the year 2 problem, right? Remember when the years were going way too fast? Like they wouldn't break. Do you remember that when they had year 2
Oh, they
spams
could
like,
dive
in
like
arcade?
crazy.
Yeah, in arcade they had this problem. You remember this, Adam? Remember, you would have groups of 4 guys coming in the year 2s that had that ridiculous
absolutely.
payload and finish the game in 2 minutes.
Yeah, like boom.
Like, boom,
Yeah,
boom, boom.
about
It was quick. It was quick.
Like,
It was quick.
Yeah, they were
We
literally
are-
just suiciding.
We are having that in right now in tier 4, but of course it just takes longer to get there. So it just becomes this game of where you're rushing to stop that, and then they can just join in again and continue doing it. But then you're already up in the air at that point. But you are going to run out of ammo.
Yeah.
So it's a
And-
weird thing.
I feel like I have a pretty strong opinion, and the simplest fix that I could see would be destroying the base does not cause ticket bleed. It has other,
We've talked about
obviously
this, and,
complications.
and they're like a good idea.
I've
that
never
I-
heard that idea, Kota, and it's actually a really cool
No,
idea.
well, the idea that I like of destroying the base is not necessarily no, it shouldn't cause like a permanent bleed to like, it shouldn't end the game, but what it should do is like you lose a bunch of tickets, like you lose a percentage or something. You know what I mean? Like so it could technically maybe end the game if you were already down very low,
yeah.
but it shouldn't be the end game. Like so if you have let's say 100% tickets and you kill the base, 25% gone, maybe like something where it's like it hurts to lose it, but it shouldn't be the final blow that now you're lost. You know? It's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to say there's, I can't remember. Well, there's some maps that have 2 airfields,
Yeah,
and-
auxiliary, yeah.
Yeah, and you can go straight, and you can go without destroying any bombing points and take out that auxiliary airfield.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think that it should be the same way just for the main airfield. Like, I don't know. It seems like such an easy fix, and I've suggested it before, but that was before the Players Council, and
Hopefully they'll
that was
watch this
honestly
episode.
before Gaijin was really listening a lot on the forums. They listen a lot more than they used to.
Yeah, it's improved but compared to what it was.
Yeah.
I wish. Do you know what I wish? I wish they would bring back carriers in arcade or in RB as well, where you can sort of like. I know there is one map in RB that they have carriers.
They don't
but
have
I want more carriers back. I used to love in the middle of like a dogfight just landing on this carrier. I miss carriers.
Sucks to be you. We
I
still
want-
got them.
Oh,
We get like those. Actually, that's just cool because we were just talking about that with the bases, because then you can destroy the because you can do
But in
that. You can
RB they
destroy
still
the
have
potential
several maps
runways.
with carriers, right?
Carrier.
oh yeah. Well yeah. Okay. Yeah. RB has
Awesome.
quite a few.
They're tanky. They take a lot of bombs. to
Because in
take
RB,
out,
some RB
still
maps,
fun.
the carriers is pretty much like the only base.
Yeah, the carrier is the main, and destroying the carriers causes the same thing, the ticket bleed.
and it's really fun to do though to destroy those because it gives you a chance to utilize a lot of those torpedo-based planes. And I like flying a torpedo-based bomber. Like those are just
I actually
fun.
think that's pretty cool too.
But there's no point in flying them because there's very few maps where it's really optimal.
Yeah, if it's like a America versus Japan rotation, in our mode, most of the time it's going to have water somewhere potentially. Every now and then you might not have it. Then don't load your torpedoes. Go have fun.
Yeah.
Bomb something,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's options.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that dynamic with the boats, that's kind of fun because then you can go underneath the radar, climb off the side, dive down, get right on deck, drop your torps. Like if you're in a BTD, drop your 2 torps. And then try to do as much damage as possible. Get on out of that area where you get taken up flak. Try to go rearm and do it again. And if it's like a group of 2 of you, you can take out all the carriers. And on certain maps, that's all they can spawn at until the ground in the middle's taken. So if you do it in a timely fashion, you can fuck them over big time. But that adds an element of that adds a dynamic element. That's cool. Not all the maps have that, obviously, but in those cases where you're fighting over a center landmass over an ocean front, it adds this really cool dynamic to the game. But you have to have a certain amount of people committed to it. And obviously, with that, if you have more people doing the bombing end of it, you have a lack of fighters or potential ground attackers that are taking out the boats that are landing on the main island to take the island. You can try to stop that so that you can try to capture the airfield on this island instead of the other team. There's an example of that, for example. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things they can do to tweak the bomber's purpose so that it has diversity, but more objective based to what their role is compared to what right now is, where it's just being used as an RP derp machine and glide around and just wait for people to come to you. It's this weird moving mobile artillery base of where you just you're playing Call of Duty. Like, well, if you guys remember, like, you can Google on YouTube, like there's one of the Call of Duty games, World War II games, of where they showed like you in certain sequences of the game, you were just like a gunner and a bomber, and you're destroying just ridiculous amounts of like Messerschmitts attacking you. That's what basically Bombers is right now. Just go cruise control, rail guns, and just shoot.
Yeah, and if they I don't know. The biggest thing, like, I don't know. I feel the gunners, like, yeah, you can keep tweaking guns and stuff, but that's not. No matter if the guns were even super weak, I feel like people would still fly bombers. The only time people quit flying bombers was when they nerfed the damage model of that B-17 so hard that
back in the last police day,
yeah,
where they weren't so
machine
tanky.
Guns could, yeah, exactly, machine guns could take it out like in 2 passes. But like, I feel like they should still be. I don't know. I feel like the mission should be an hour-long, 100% join in progress, but there should be ways to cancel that join in progress by destroying bases and stuff like that. And yeah, if you die, okay, you don't have to join that same game. You could go find a new game, switch planes, switch nations. It's pretty simple to not get in that exact same game. But the fact that you can't even play the game in some tiers because the missions are, you literally either have to just sprint out and get
race the clock.
You can sprint out, get in a really good dogfight. You can be in that dogfight for 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden the game's ticking down, and you're out of that dogfight without anything. You know, that's the only problem that I see, is that the games are ending way too fast because of bombers. And now that bombers are so strong, it's just going to be more and more of a problem.
And this discussion all came off the our some improvements plan for gunners in 1.49. But I like this. I liked having you on here, Kota. You add good stuff to this entire conversation about the bombers and what they could do and what they can do and what they should be able to do and how they get points. Like this was a good sidetracking, or whatever you want to call it. But we are at the end of the podcast, and we might want to even save this this page here, because there's still a few nice things we might be able to talk about next week. Then, actually, out of this this Q&A thread, what do you guys say?
Oh, absolutely.
I feel that
who knows what's to come in a week. I mean, every week.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we'll be here next week. Like,
I swear to God,
they dropped this.
I swear to God, if I'm away and they drop British tanks, I will get home.
Oh, will you?
I will.
Hey.
I will fly myself back home.
I will fly myself. Because if you're not here and they release tanks, I guess I'll do a memorial of Adam.
I will find Scarpa and I will be like, why would you do this? just 2 weeks. I know we've just had 1.4.
When are you coming back?
So I won't be here next Saturday. The Saturday after.
All right, you'll be back that weekend though, right?
It'll be basically the third Saturday. So
yeah, but you're coming back home. I mean, you're coming back home, like Sunday. Oh well, whatever.
So, no.
Anyways,
Anyway, yep, we're ending this. Adam, you need to give me those dates so I can write them down and remember them. So I won't go like, where's Adam? What happened? Adam won't be here next week then, and the week after that. But there will definitely be Jingles Watch will be happening, and
Adam Watch.
oh, Adam, ooh. Ooh.
anyways,
thank you, Classypax, for being here. You guys can find him streaming a lot of the times over at twitch.tv/Classypax. AverageAdam you can find over, well, here, as well as myself and Kota. You guys can find if you just type twitch.tv/ the stuff under his face.
Pax got it in chat there.
That's good. That's good. There you guys get some links. Go follow if you want to see simulator battles, mostly airplanes, I guess.
if you want to learn shit, follow Kota. He knows
Yeah,
his
if
stuff.
you want to learn shit. There you go.
You want to learn the shit.
Yeah, except for I've been out.
Now you
I've
need
been
to get
out.
back to streaming, man. This is just a boot
I
edit.
know.
And
Thank you so much, Kota.
yeah, I was gonna say that. Thank
Oh,
you,
no
Kota,
problem.
for,
Thanks for
being a
having me.
last minute entry to the show. You added quite a lot. And thank you all for watching. We'll be back next week. You'll find this as a VOD up on Twitch within whenever Wicked Mouse gets to doing it. He usually does that as soon as we're done. I'm surprised it's quick. And then you'll see it on YouTube probably by Monday afternoon, depending on where you are. All right, then. That's all she wrote, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Peace,
See you
guys.